The Denver Nuggets have just completely cleaned house and fired head coach Michael Malone and GM Calvin Booth. You know, I was just sitting here making another 2K video. Go subscribe to me over at JG Sims. And I get the breaking news on my phone that we have fully cleaned house and fired Michael Malone and Calvin Booth. The firing of Malone broke right before Calvin Booth, so my initial reaction was just in pure utter shock. And if I'm being 100% honest with you, I am still in pure shock from all of this. As of right now, the Nuggets only have 3 more regular season games before the playoffs even start. So this is just absolutely baffling to me that we wanted to maybe not wait until the off season or middle of the off season to, I don't know, go ahead and fire these guys, kick them to the curb. But no, they decided to 3 regular season games before the playoffs. Hey, let's just clean house. Let's just start from scratch. I don't like how this team has been ran the last 2 seasons. I say we just start over. So that is where the initial shock is coming from all of this. Now let's say in a hypothetical world, the Nuggets are a first round exit. After the season is over, they fire Michael Malone, they fire Calvin Booth. It makes a whole lot more sense, right? But you're telling me 3 more regular season games. Just 3. They want to fire everyone. I'm shocked right now. And look, the firing of Calvin Booth makes a whole lot more sense to me, but the one that really stings is the firing of Michael Malone, because he has been the Nuggets head coach for 10 years now. 10 whole years. Before he got fired, he was one of the 3 longest tenured NBA coaches in the entire league. I mean, Michael Malone has meant everything to this Nuggets franchise. If you look at where this team was 10 years ago in 2014, 2015 to where we are today, it is mind-blowing. And the one thing that hurts me the most and that's really digging at my heart was that Michael Malone was one of the first and only people to believe in Nikola Jokic. There are various amounts of clips when Jokic was a rookie, when Jokic was a second-year player, where Michael Malone was doing any and everything to bring up Jokic and to tell people that this guy was going to be a generational talent and was going to be the franchise player for years to come. And not only that, he empowered guys like Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and has built one of the best offenses and one of the best teams within the last 5 to 4 years. And I've always heavily respected Michael Malone as a coach because he has never been one to stray away from criticizing his players. If someone were to have an off game, if someone were to have a bad attitude, not show energy, whatever it may be, Michael Malone is the first guy to call out his guys. He is not soft and he's not settling back whatsoever. In a league where player empowerment is such a big thing, I feel like that is a key thing to have in your head coach. You want a head coach that is going to have the mutual respect between your players and to be able to talk to them and also be able to put these players in their place. And I feel like Michael Malone was one of the best in the league at doing that. He never held back regardless of who it was. And I just feel like that is going to be one of the hardest things to find, and this is just really reminding me of what the Milwaukee Bucks have done as of recent. And I know the Mike Budenholzer situation is a little bit different because even before the Bucks won their NBA championship, it was kind of up in the air if he was even going to be the head coach for the future. But it just feels like we're going down a similar path where we fire our championship winning coach because of unknown reasons. And I can't help but to think that this is going to be the start of the Nuggets' downfall, and it pains me to say that because Michael Malone single-handedly developed a lot of the players that you see on this roster today and empowered these players to become the players that they are today. Which, like I said, the firing of Michael Malone is just, it's going to hurt. That's going to be the one that's going to suck. I feel like Nuggets fans are going to look back on this moment and despise the organization for firing Michael Malone because he has been nothing but good to this organization throughout his 10 years of being here. Now, on the Calvin Booth side of things, like I said earlier, I'm not surprised that he got fired. If you were to take a look back and see how he has ran this team in the last 2 to 3 years, he has made a lot of questionable decisions. And the first domino to fall from all of this was not being able to bring back Bruce Brown and Jeff Green. Now, I understand you just can't throw a huge bag at Bruce Brown and kind of pigeonhole yourself into not being able to sign your other guys in the future. But this is not the first example of Calvin Booth being cheap, because just 1 year after we were not able to bring back Bruce Brown, we just let KCP walk in free agency. And in hindsight, I don't really mind that we let KCP walk in free agency because it has now led Christian Braun to become into the player that he is today and become an MIP candidate. But one thing that has always bothered me the most about Calvin Booth is trying to run this 2-timeline deal around Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets have been absolutely blessed with one of the best players of not only this generation, but of all time. And look, I totally understand again, empowering your young players and wanting to believe in the guys that you had drafted, like a Julian Strawther, a Peyton Watson, a Christian Brown. But when you have the best player in the world, and when you're not doing any and everything to maximize on this best player in the world, to surround him around great pieces that are cohesive so we can at least have a shot at winning a championship, it just blows my mind. And I love me some Peyton Watson, and I love Julian Strawther, Christian Brown, Zeke Nnaji, all of these young folks. But it just honestly reminds me a lot of the bad decisions that the Golden State Warriors made a couple years prior. They had the number 2 overall pick, selected James Wiseman, and then a year later they had 2 more lottery picks where they drafted Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. And in hindsight, when you have 3 lottery picks and you have a generational player in Steph Curry, and you can see the decline of guys like Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, you would just think that it would be obvious to use those young assets in draft capital to trade for more experienced guys so you can have another shot at winning an NBA championship and also keeping your championship window in general. And I think it's been pretty clear that you can't run a 2-timeline team. You can't have your vet guys that are here and ready to win a championship while also trying to develop young players. And like I said, this is no knock to Peyton Watson and Julian Strawther. But when you have those guys and you have other first-round picks, why not try to maximize on that potential and bring in other veteran players that are ready and win now players to maximize and open up our championship window instead of just kind of sitting on your hands waiting to see if Peyton Watson and Julian Strawther can be something. Now, I totally understand not wanting to trade Christian Brown because, like I said, he has turned into a player that has fit amazingly alongside Nikola Jokic, jumping up to a 15-point per game scorer, becoming one of the most efficient players in the NBA. But there were already signs of that. Christian Brown had shown a lot of signs. He had so many moments throughout our championship run that he was the real deal. But guys like Julian Strawther and Peyton Watson, who didn't make any impact on our championship run, I just didn't understand as to why we wanted to keep them, especially if you knew that you weren't able to bring back a Bruce Brown or a KCP in the future. And it just sucks because as of right now, the Nuggets are literally witnessing, not just Nuggets fans, but NBA fans in general are witnessing one of the greatest NBA seasons of all time. And the fact that there is just so much turmoil going around this team, it just sucks to see that we're not fully maximizing the Nikola Jokic timeline. When you have a generational player, a Jokic, a LeBron, a Steph Curry, whatever it may be, there is one timeline and one timeline only. It is the Nikola Jokic timeline. You should not be sitting on your hands for Julian Strawther to get better. You should not be sitting on your hands and waiting for Peyton Watson to be the next Bruce Brown. The thought of it that those guys could possibly be those win now players is great. But in actuality, those players are young, they're inexperienced, and they don't know how to win right now. And that is totally fine. But when you have a generational player in Nikola Jokic who is 30 years old and is having the best season of all time, why wouldn't you want to do any and everything to set him up for greatness and put amazing veteran win now players alongside him to open up our championship window and just give ourselves a chance? And I feel like it really pigeonholed Michael Malone into having to play these young guys. I mean, if you look at some of the lineups that the Nuggets have been running as of late, it is mind-boggling that Jokic even has to run with some of these guys. Look, man, shout out all these guys that I'm about to say, but the fact that Jokic is playing alongside Jalen Pickett, Hunter Tyson, Zeke Nnaji is just the ultimate disrespect. Now, I love all those players because I am a diehard Nuggets fan and I want these players to become amazing guys in the league. But let me reiterate this. When you have one of the greatest players of all time and you're not putting the best pieces around him to be able to win, then what are you doing? Now, the timing of this just doesn't make sense to me. Like I said earlier, there are 3 regular season games left. We have a game on Wednesday, and then we have a back-to-back Friday and Saturday, and that's it. It's over. The season is done. And I had seen reports that the locker room has already been a little bit disconnected as of late. The Nuggets are currently on a 3-game losing streak, and I highly doubt that the head coach of 10 years that had just been fired is going to bring any sort of spark to this team whatsoever. Like I said, Michael Malone has built a connection with majority of these guys. He has been next to Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic throughout the entirety of their careers. How do you think this is going to make Nikola Jokic feel? He was the one guy who believed in them, and now he's just gone like for nothing before the playoffs? Like, oh my God, I just don't get it. I am so curious to see how tomorrow is going to go because I could totally see a world where the Nuggets are just absolutely disconnected throughout the next 3 games and they find themselves in the play-in. Because let me just say this right now, we do not have an easy schedule our final 3 games, and they are so key if we want to remain in the top 6 seeds. We have the Kings on Wednesday, who are never an easy win. We have the Memphis Grizzlies, who are just behind us in the seeding, and then we have a back-to-back to finish off the season against the second-seeded Houston Rockets. So there could easily be a world where we go 0-3 during this stretch, and then we find ourselves in the play-in. And let's just say we get into that play-in, we make it into the first round, and then we're a first-round exit. And then I just feel like going into the off-season, all hell is going to break loose, and I am just not ready for it. And I'm just very curious to see what the Cronkies are going to say about this. Was this just a panic move, or will it be a power move that later on down the line we look back on and be like, oh, okay, they cooked there? That is going to be something that we're going to have to go back on and decide in the offseason, a year later, 2 years later. God knows what's going to happen. But I really do feel like if they don't shake up a bunch of things during this offseason, we're going to look back on this move and see that this was one of the major dominoes to fall and be the ultimate reason as to why the Denver Nuggets fall off. And trust me, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I'm praying that I am so wrong on all of this. But just seeing how the team has been ran in our post-championship era, I don't have a lot of faith that we're going to make a lot of good decisions after this. This just seems like it's a panic move. They weren't thinking, oh my God, we're on a 3-game losing streak right before the playoffs. The locker room is bitter. We got to make a move. But to fire one of the best coaches in the league who has been here for 10 years, who won a championship with us, who was one of the only people to believe that Jokic was going to be the best player in the world, is mind-boggling to me and kind of says a lot about who our management is. And I think that this is going to be one of the biggest things that the Cronkies have ever regretted. Look, man, I'm going to stay hopeful, but if I'm being honest, I am nothing but concerned about all of these things that have going on. You guys let me know what you feel about all of this in the comments below. What are your takeaways from all this? Let me know down below. I will be around for those topics, so make sure you guys like the video, comment down below, and subscribe for your daily Nuggets talk, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.